Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. We're back. I'm sure you missed us. We were gone. It feels like a lot longer than 2 weeks.
I know. It feels like months.
It does. It's crazy. Because I was talking to somebody today about being in Texas. I was talking to somebody from Texas about being in Texas and about how hot it was and everything.
So hot.
And I was like, yeah, I was there. And then I had to, 2 weeks ago. I was thinking I was there like last month. And
yeah. It's just,
crazy.
I mean, I guess today, with it being the first day of August, you can now say you were there last month.
Sure.
But no, it does. I was thinking about that today. I was like, when's the last time? Has it been like 3 months, 4 months? I mean, I don't know. I knew it wasn't, but it felt like a long time.
Yeah,
so it's good to be back.
Feels like a while. It's nice to be back here, talk some baseball. Today is going to be different than normal. Normally, even though we're pretty chaotic most of the time,
that's our
it's
MO.
Structured chaos.
Yes.
We have Dodger chaos and Angels chaos and around baseball chaos. Today we're kind of just gonna take things, undo all of the corral, open the gates, and we're just gonna have wide open spree.
Yeah.
So as a reminder, if you've forgotten, we can be found on social media at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Check out our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and hit the Fanatics link. You can still get on there. Once I saw some of the City Connects in person.
Yes.
Once I saw some of the All-Star caps, not the workout caps, not the actual game hats. The American League are still atrocious, and they were worse in person than they were.
Way worse.
The National Leagues were better in person. Anyway, all of that's available on the Fanatics link. Check that out. And then if you want, you can start giving donations to the show through the Ko-fi link. And that way we can, I don't know where we're going next year. Omaha, maybe, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, who knows? But if you want to support our travels, we're more than happy to thank you for supporting our travels and accept your donations. All right. So let's just dive right into it. Biggest thing is the All-Star game. We went to, we posted about it, did a couple little videos, but let's kind of break it down. It was incredibly hot at the beginning of the week. I stayed the whole week. You left right after.
Right.
And so that Wednesday, it was hot during the day. Wednesday night, I'd actually gone to Austin, but it rained in Dallas. It rained in Austin, and it cooled down. And for the weekend, it didn't really get above 90. And even the next week, last week, was in the 80s. So the people in Texas were enjoying it.
Yeah. I wish it would have been in the 80s when we were there. It was so hot.
Oh.
I mean, just miserable.
Yeah.
And I will say, I am not used to humidity as much as I used to be when I lived on the East Coast. That's, 90% humidity or more. Now I live in the high desert. We don't have humidity. I mean, very, very low humidity. And when we do have humidity, it's like, ooh, it's humid, and it's like 20%.
Right. Yeah. That's
So-
kind of like it is here. It'll get up like 30. I think we had it at 40% one time, and you would have thought it was the end of the world.
Yeah, you just your body doesn't get used to it. So the heat in with the humidity was tough. But I will say, we talk about the grill, but man, what an awesome venue for baseball. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's beautiful. It's like you walk in and there's the field. It's like, ta-da! It's
Mhm.
right there. And being able to walk on the concourse, like all of the concourses have something. And the people who work there at Globe Life Field, the ushers and just they're awesome. And we had one lady that stopped us and said, "Hey, do you want an all-star pitcher opportunity?" Like, sure. And she, took our picture right there. It was a great picture right there with the field behind us. And just, just great Texas hospitality. But yeah, Globe Life Field, I would definitely go back to see a game there. And it was so nice and cool. That AC, man, it worked so well.
You barely got to the door of the entrance there, and you could already feel it. And you're already like, and we were so hot on the home run derby day.
Yes.
And our seats on that day, we were right under the air conditioning.
That was perfect.
And we never even, normally it doesn't take long. And then you're kind of cold, like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
No, it was like, I think almost the end of the home run derby before we got to a point where we're saying, okay, now it's getting a little chilly.
Yeah, now it's a little chilly, but yeah, I needed it. Yeah, because my
You
face
needed
was
it.
red.
You were like the heat, like overheated. If you were a car, your radiator would have blown already.
Yeah, it was just, because I had gone, I had gone and went out and to put some, because I wasn't sure like what they would allow. Like you read what you can take in, but they were really good. And then Gatorade, because all of the All-Star Village stuff was across the street at the old stadium. And that was, I think, was the first time that they've ever been able to do that. It's a nice venue, but not when it's 98, 100 degrees, 101 degrees. Yeah, it's humidity. Yeah, it's too hot. But so Gatorade was out there giving out their water bottles, and they were like 24 ounces, where you can only have a 16-ounce unopened water bottle in Globe Life. And so I'm like chugging it, trying before we go. And the girl's like, no. You can take it in. You can. I'm like,
today,
yeah,
you can take it in.
Yes.
And it was awesome that they were out there because the Gatorade was right at one of the main entrances into the All-Star Fan Fest Village there area.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I must have drank like 10 of those.
Yeah. I was constantly, they like, do you want one? Yes, give it to me. It was so hot. But
weird is that after the fact, when I was out running around Texas, I went into a convenience store in one place, and that Gatorade water, same size bottle, was like $4. And then I went into another place. I think one was like down around Austin, and I went to another one up by Dallas, in Frisco, where I was staying, and it was only like $1.90 for the same bottle. And I thought, and it didn't have a promotion on it or anything like that. I'm like,
yeah,
all the prices are up around Austin because everybody from LA moved there and ran the prices up.
Yeah, that must be it. We had a great time, and it was definitely, it was just a great experience. Enjoyed the home run derby. I will say there were some lags in there. I think that MLB could have done some things, give us some entertainment, because this is the home run derby. It's the fun, atmosphere. It's not a game. It's like they had 2 high schoolers that for their home run derby. But then they tied, and nobody in the crowd booed because they didn't want him to die.
Yeah, let him have a play, a
Right.
swing off.
A swing off. But they needed to keep the energy because I felt like there was energy, but then it would just die. It was this, and I
Yeah.
don't know. It could have been the announcer, whatever that guy's name is from MLB Network.
Oh, yeah. Greg or whatever his name is.
Yeah, it was
Well,
okay.
that could have been the public address announcer was pretty standard. He
Yeah.
didn't do a whole lot, but yeah, there could have been. And what happened to Jose
Right.
Iglesias?
Right. We had seen that he was gonna sing his OMG song.
OMG, yeah.
Yeah, and we were all ready for it, and he never showed up. Now, obviously, we were there in person for the national anthem, and everyone we all were like, what is this? The guy next to me was like, what was that?
All I could think, and I don't know if I said this out loud to you, but all I could think was she's going to have an excuse.
Yes.
Like I was drunk, I was on drugs, I just found out at the last minute, or something. And sure enough, the next day she's in rehab, or so they said.
Right, exactly. I haven't been able to confirm that, but or have I even? Can't even remember her name. But
no, I was, and I'm racking my brain. What?
It doesn't matter because it's so bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was bad, but I will say the best post tweet of the night was, and I don't know who it was, but it said, if you or your family listened to tonight's Home Run Derby national anthem, you may be able to get compensation.
You may be entitled to compensation.
That's
Perfect.
right. Yes. And and we were there, so I think we should get extra.
I think so too. I think my ears were bleeding.
They still.
You know what would have been better? Instead of her saying I'm going to rehab, she should have said, due to my performance, I am
quitting the music business.
I'm quitting the music business. That's one thing. Or she could have said, I am going to take singing lessons. I'm going to take some of the money that I made off of the one hit that I've had, or however many hits. I don't know. 4-time Grammy nominee.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, avant-garde, I guess.
Sure. That's exactly what it was.
So Home Run Derby, other than, like you said, it needed some jazzing up. Well, and it's easy when you're at home watching it because you can get up and go do something else and come back. They stay there, and then you have commercials. For us, they played. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that happened was something that they do at every game in the grill is they had the air guitar, cam.
Right.
And played something, and everybody played air guitar, and that was probably the biggest thing. It would have been nice if maybe they would have done, you could hear some of the interviews in between.
Yeah.
With some of the guys, or
well, and that was the other thing. I know that there was a lot of press people saying, where was the Dodger All-Stars for Teoscar Hernandez? And Tyler Glasnow stayed the whole time. And I thought that too during the game. I'm like, what is going on? This is crazy. But on TV, when you watch it and you see those lounges that they have for NLAL, it always looks like they're packed with players. And they were not on either side. And so I don't know how
not even right at the beginning. There were more players out there at the beginning, but not like what you have seen in the past on TV. It was pretty sparse.
It was sparse. And I mean, it was cool. Like Vladdy Jr. was out there. He was rooting on Teoscar,
as a former teammate. He was actually wearing
his jersey,
his Blue Jays jersey.
Right. So that did surprise me. I will say the Phillies did. They were there to the surprise of the evening. Alec Boehm home run derby, and they were all there. And so, yeah, it was a very stark contrast between, oh, look at all the Phillies. You had Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, you had all of them, all the all-stars out there. Later, we found out, Will Smith wasn't there. His wife is pregnant. They have a little girl who I don't even think, maybe she's a year old. So they had family. He was taking care of family. Freddie Freeman, the same thing. All three of his boys were sick. So, it's like you can't. And then Shohei Ohtani had something to do, some kind of media event. So you can't knock him. But yeah, at the time, I will say I was like, what is going on here?
I get Freddie because Freddie's still dealing with that. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to when we talk more about the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So that one I get now.
Yes.
At the time, it's like, you're participating in this. Shohei shouldn't have had anything else. MLBPA, whoever should not have scheduled anything else during that time. He should have been there as part of.
And he was there for a little bit.
At the very beginning. The first time that Teoscar hit, he and Tyler Glasnow came out there. And didn't somebody else? Did Freddie come out at that point? Because he was there.
Freddie was there. Yeah. But
at the beginning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he didn't stay long. Well, whatever it was during the actual home run where we were on the first base side. It was a little tough sometimes to follow the track of the ball because almost all but two of the Derby contestants were righties.
Right. Yes.
So you had Jose Ramirez and Gunnar Henderson, who were the lefties. Everybody else was a righty. So there were times where you'd catch the ball coming off the bat, but then you'd miss it until you could see. And if you weren't looking in the right place, then you wouldn't see where it came down. You'd have to kind of watch the crowd. You could see if the kids that were shagging balls started moving towards it, then you knew that it was there. But on that one Bobby Witt hit that right up to the wall and just died.
Yeah.
Right in front of the wall. And it was like, unless you see that, but with Jose Ramirez and Bobby Witt, you could see it'd be like they'd hit one and it would fall short, but a second later there'd be another ball going into the stands. Mm-hmm. So it was fun. You could see those guys from where we were. So if we were on the other side, we probably could see it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you go into those things thinking I'm rooting for this guy. And then somewhere along the way, you find yourself kind of rooting for somebody else as well. And then, or like with Teoscar, there were a couple of times there in the first round. Actually, in the first round, he was right there at the bottom of the four.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought Adolis Garcia, he was my pick to win because it's home field advantage. And he ended up not doing as well as I thought he would have done. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I'm always going to root for Teoscar. But then when Teoscar was kind of low, I'm like, I'm going to root for Alec Bohm. He's, because he's the least likely of the guys, right? But it came out the right way.
Well, Alec Bohm led everybody. Or actually, it ended up being tied. He and who? Bobby? Was it Bobby Witt Jr. or was it...
So
who was tied? There were two of them that were tied at the end of the first round. And this year, everybody kind of was competing against each other. So the top four home run hitters would move on and then take on each other. And so that was Alec Bohm. Teoscar was number 4. Bobby Witt Jr. And who was number 3?
I know.
All of a sudden.
I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. He didn't win anyway.
He didn't win, but yeah. Let's see here.
So it was Alec Bohm faced off with Teoscar. And then Bobby Witt Jr. and were the 2 and 3.
Yeah, so I have it here. So round 1, Alec Bohm And I thought I had it here. All right. So, okay. So Gunnar Henderson, who I thought was going to hit more,
Right.
only hit 11. And then Marcelo Zuna was 16 of were both eliminated. Jose Ramirez has at 21. He advanced to the semifinals.
So it was Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, and
Bobby Witt.
Pete Alonso, he only hit 12, so he was eliminated. And then Teoscar was at 19, and then Adolis Garcia because he hit 18. If Adolis had hit more, I think obviously he would have gone on. Bobby Witt Jr. was at 20. Alec Bohm was at 21. That's round one. And so it was.
And then it was head to head. And so like I said, the everybody was seated. Alec Bohm was 1. Teoscar was 4.
And Alec Bohm and Hernandez had the swing off.
Right. Yeah. They went. Bobby Witt Jr. and Jose Ramirez went up first, and then Alec Bohm versus Teoscar, and Teoscar ended up hitting one more.
2 home runs versus 1 to Bohm.
Yeah, and that was because they had tied, and then they had the swing off. And then I heard that they didn't even do the rules right. How they wrote the rules. They messed that up.
Yeah. So, well, and it's just if we talk about mess ups, so they did the rule, and then one of the things that was really irritating, I know for both of us, is if your tickets are on the app. There were certain things that, like at the All-Star, like the Fan Fest, where you had to get your app and they would scan a QR code and you could go, like we went into the clubhouse, the Rangers clubhouse at the ballpark.
The ballpark in Arlington, or Choctaw Stadium as it is.
Yeah, now. So, so you're always using your phone. Well, we were going out there. It's like, okay, we're going to, these are the people we'd like to see, get some autographs. And before we left, they're like, it's going to open at this time. So like, okay, so we're on our phone, and you put in your email. The email, they would send you a confirmation code. You put in the confirmation code. I must have done that 3, 4, 5 times. And then it would, like, a reservation would pop up, but I wasn't able to make the reservation. And then we're like, okay, when we get to the stadium, maybe that's the issue. You get to the stadium, the reservations are gone. Then we find one that says no reservations. So we have to walk down onto the field, which had to have been 1,000 degrees. And you had to go down these ramps. It was just hot. And we get there, and there were other people there with the same, hey, no reservations. And the people who worked there, most, like I said, were most volunteers. And they're like, no, you have to have a reservation. You can be standby, but no, it says no reservation. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Instead of finding out about it, they just said whatever. And people would say, oh, okay, I'll be standby. And we're like, no, it is. I don't care. It's too hot down here.
I'm just going to have to stalk Vladdy Sr. and go find where he lives and have him sign something. I hope
you can find him at the grocery store.
Had I been paying attention, I would have gone that weekend. Instead of hanging around in Texas, I went to Cooperstown because Vladdy was in Cooperstown.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like they could, because you have to have tickets to the Fan Fest, and you buy the ticket, that's not free. So why don't you know how you have add-ons? So, you get your ticket for Fan Fest, and then you're okay, I'm going on this day. This is who's going to be here on this day. Make your reservation at the same time that you buy your ticket. Why can't you do that? Because, if you're set at a certain time, our transportation, it was like, we can go be there when the gates opened. But even if we had been there right when the gates opened, there wouldn't have been reservations anyway. And I think a lot of the times the they're all taken up by people who are memorabilia collectors, but sellers of the memorabilia. And I just think, I don't think that's right. This is a fan fest, but we got to see some people, like we saw Pudge Rodriguez from afar, but we didn't have the reservation because we couldn't make it's like the Seinfeld episode. Like, I made the reservation. You don't know how to hold the reservation. We couldn't even make the reservation.
We didn't even get that far along.
Yeah.
No, so there are those things that are, part of it's the Rangers, part of it's MLB.
Yeah.
I think that if it hadn't have been so hot, maybe it probably wouldn't have been as frustrating as it was. It still would have been frustrating, but the heat
makes it a double. Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing is, it's cool that it was in a ballpark. But they really have to take into consideration the weather. And
there weren't enough fans set up in the place.
No.
Misters.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted misters, you go out of the actual ballpark, because it was a lot of stuff was inside the main concourse. So you could walk all the way around the ballpark, and there were things in almost every area. And but if you wanted to go like misters, you had to go outside and like the big Budweiser structure that they built out there. They had misters, stuff like that. But inside, they didn't have any, or very few places had them, if anything. Not too many areas. And then luckily, Capital One was a sponsor, and I had a Capital One card, so we were able to go into the Capital One lounge one day.
Yeah.
The next day, it was like the longest line around. I didn't know that many people had Capital One cards.
I didn't either.
So,
but yeah, there was it was fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I would go to another All-Star game
in Minnesota.
Or
in someplace cooler.
Yeah. Or they had right down the street is their convention center, and
across the street.
Right. I mean, I was saying across the street from Globe Life Field, down the street from the Arlington, the ballpark at Arlington.
Well,
it was like right there.
Yeah, that building was all across the street, and then you walk down just a little bit, halfway down the block.
Why didn't anyone? I mean, unless somebody else was having a convention, I don't think so. But
well, they did have things going on, because that was also part of the Lowe's hotels above it, and all of the players were staying there, players and families and stuff like that. So I don't know if maybe they had stuff set up in the ballrooms or in the meeting rooms there.
Yeah.
Or the players, and for certain things like that. I don't know. Since we never, we didn't get that chance. All right. Before we wrap up talking about the All-Star game, let's talk about the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah, there was a game. One of the things, I think the biggest highlight for me was hearing in person a Shohei Ohtani home run.
Right. That was your first one.
That was my first one at the All-Star game.
I had looked down for a second because I was putting my phone back in my pocket, and I had to, my head just jerked up as soon as I heard the noise, because I knew that noise. And, and he would have been the All-Star MVP had Logan Webb not happened in this game, I think.
Oh, yeah, no, you are exactly right. And he was it. I mean, he drove in all the runs. He was it. So, but I did call it for who the MVP turned out to be.
Yep, that you did. Jarren Duran from the Red Sox, Southern California kid who just has picked it up and has really made a name for himself, looking good. And then Hunter Green is the one from the Reds who gave up the home run that would put the American League ahead, and they'd never come back.
No.
One of the cool things to see was Mason Miller from the A's
Yes.
throwing 103, fastest pitch in an All-Star game. He, ends up afterwards on the IL, I think.
Yes.
And doesn't get traded. I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd ended up getting traded, but he doesn't.
Yeah. We were thinking that might be a possibility. Paul Skeens, I think that was definitely a highlight, watching him pitch.
And hearing some of those glove pops.
Yes.
With the way he pitched, but that was cool. He started the game. And
Nolan Ryan, Fergie Jenkins, who follows us on Instagram, seeing, and of course, Adrian Beltre there.
Now,
Pudge, but we had seen Pudge before. But
I do have to say that I thought that was a bit hokey because they really played up the cowboy angle.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the game, they had a guy come out and do the lasso
rope
thing,
tricks,
the roping, and that's impressive. But I've seen it a lot of times. He's not like the only guy in the world who can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do it, so I am impressed by it. But then they brought out like an old stagecoach,
mm-hmm.
and they brought the stagecoach around. And while this is stagecoach is coming around, they introduced the Hall of Famers that went in as Rangers: Fergie Jenkins, Pudge Rodriguez, Nolan, who brought the ball for the first pitch out, and then of course the newest member of the Hall of Fame and the Rangers family, Adrian Beltre. He gets out of the stagecoach, and
yes.
I thought that's a bit much. I think you're overplaying your hand here, Texas. But beyond that, the game was cool. I mean, it was a basic game. It's not. You still have the pitch clock and all of that. It was fun though to see these guys. Paul Skeens, not just pitching against some random guys from the Marlins. He was pitching, against. He pitched, and being on the same team. He didn't have to pitch against Shohei because they were on the same team.
Yeah.
But pitching against, the American League team, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, those guys. It was cool to see these matchups in person. And the only thing that would have made it better is if the American League had better uniforms.
Yeah, the American League. So when we talked about it on one of our episodes, the description was they were, a tannish color with a blue and a red, but they were like coral, and the blue was not blue. It was more like of a turquoisey color.
Right.
And so it's almost like whoever made the City Connects whoever designed the City Connects for San Diego made the American League All-Star uniforms. The National League uniforms in person really popped. They looked good.
Yeah, those were good. So, I guess all we have to do is wait till next year. It's in Atlanta, so the National League will have the lighter colors, and the American League will have the darker colors. We'll see if they how they do with that, and what they do. Will they be there? It would make sense to have a coral or a peach color.
Yeah, definitely a peach color. I mean, it's
Atlanta.
It's Georgia.
So that was a lot of fun. The game was good. Enjoyed it fully. That day we didn't go to the All-Star Fest. We just took time. We were going to go to the red carpet, and then we realized we don't want to be out in 100 and something degrees for the red carpet either. And that one we would have had to get our own way down there.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody, the bus for the group that we were part of didn't leave until closer to game time.
Yeah.
And like 4 hours before game time.
Right. Yeah.
And we were 5 minutes away from the stadium.
I know. It's crazy. It would have been cool to go to the red carpet, but it was way too hot, and we needed that break to be able to absorb all of the All-Star game.
Yep. After being out in the heat on Sunday afternoon, evening,
Monday,
almost all day Monday.
Yeah.
And then we took Tuesday off, and then like I said, you headed home. I did some other stuff. Hung out with a friend of mine that I haven't seen in like 30 years, and it was. I had like a book. I had the All-Star game on one part, and by the time I got to the end of the week, it felt like the All-Star game had been like a month ago, because it was so much. It was so different. The two sides of my week,
Right.
because I was so chill and relaxed on the backside of it. Anyway. All right. So yeah, definitely. If you ever get a chance to go to All-Star game, definitely do it. I would love to go back. And now that kind of got a better idea on the Fan Fest Village, I think I'd plan that out a little differently.
Yeah, I think so too. Now I guess, you don't know how it's going to be, but yeah, I definitely, you get the lay of the, kind of the lay of out of where everything is. You really do need to, especially if there are different events, you really do need to plan where you're going to go. But the reservation thing, that's definitely something MLB needs to fix.
Yep. We saw just one last thing. We kept seeing these T-shirts that were kind of in that sand color that was the base for everything. That was that West Texas field beige color. And it said MLB ASG. But the first time, I think you and I both, the first time we saw that shirt, we thought it said MLB ASS.
Yes.
And then we were wondering, where was the picture of Manfred?
It needed to be right underneath.
Should have been MLB ASS and then his picture right underneath it.
Yeah, I think the first time I remember seeing it was they were doing something like Guess That Song or something in the stadium, and they had a guy there and as the contestant, and I did a double take because I was like, what does that say? And then we saw them in person. So
yes,
it's time for Dodger baseball.
All right. After a long couple of weeks, we had the All-Star game. So not a lot of games. Don't really want to get into too much of the games. We need to start looking forward. We're going to talk trade deadline, and we'll talk what the Dodgers did here. We'll talk what the Angels did during their segment. And then the around baseball, we'll talk more, because there's one guy. I think that if there was one guy and one team that won the trade deadline, I know who it is for me. I think
I know who you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that coming up. Right now, let's talk about the Dodgers. The Dodgers, it's tough, and it's this way every year. And we've talked about this probably consistently every week for quite a while. In that the Dodgers, it feels like they are a team that, this dynastic kind of team that is now finally coming to earth. They're finally falling apart to the point that they're right on that verge of not making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when we look at it, they're still ahead in the West. There's still a lot of baseball to be played, and they're not a bad team. They're just going through some bad times. A lot of injuries have taken their toll on them. And with the trade deadline, the problem once again with the Dodgers is our expectations as fans, whether you're a Dodger fan or not, your expectation is the Dodgers are going to make some kind of killer move that's going to drain the rest of the league. They're going to make a move where they end up with Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, and Brandon Marsh. Oh, right. And Aaron Nola.
Yes.
Something like that for 4 prospects or 5. We'll say 5 prospects.
Yeah, that seems that. Yeah,
And,
that's
and
better.
that's not, that's not what's happened. And the Dodgers also and they're in on every single, especially every top name player. And we know for a fact that that's rarely true. Their name gets bandied about because they want other teams to, the agents want other teams to think that they're interested, or the GMs, because then maybe they'll pick it up because they don't want the Dodgers to have more than they already have. So with that being said, the Dodgers did make a few moves, and we'll get to those in a second. But first, what's your thoughts about, you come back, what was going on before the break? We knew that it was a tough time going into the break. They weren't losing like huge, but they still were kind of on a losing streak. They come out of it. They have a good series versus Boston. But overall, what's your feeling?
Yeah, before the All-Star break, it was not good. I mean, they didn't look right. It's like something is off. Okay, All-Star break, they'll come back. And you had the same guys, I guess, minus Mookie Betts, but it wasn't like Shohei Ohtani wasn't hitting home runs, or Teoscar Hernandez wasn't, it wasn't like there wasn't offense but I think the biggest hole for the Dodgers, which it has been, and hopefully they can get a handle on it, is pitching. So coming into the trade deadline, it's like, okay, what are they going to do? Because these are the things they need. Now, obviously, you're not going to get all the things that you need. And the trades and who was out there, this was a very boring trade deadline. It was boring. I know I was refreshing, my feed and seeing, but you're like, oh, they got traded. Oh, okay. Whoopee. But yeah, the Dodgers, there's something off. There was something off with them. Now, they came back after the break. They had as you mentioned, they had a good series. They swept Boston at home. They won the series versus San Francisco. Clayton Kershaw came back for his first start of the season. He only went 4 innings, but you kind of know, they're not going to just ramping him back up. But he had 6 strikeouts and he looked good. So those two, you're like, okay, things seem to be, maybe they're getting back. And there are players that are working their way back. Mookie Betts, I mentioned, he's going to be starting to swing a bat here pretty soon. That's really good news. Max Muncy, who has been, we were told, was stagnant with his oblique injury. Now he went to a chiropractor and seems to be maybe
they had
doing
a
better.
breakthrough, I think is how I read.
Yeah, breakthrough. So that's good news. But then they go to Houston, lose 2 games in Houston. And I think the biggest thing for me right now is because the Dodgers they really don't have a choice. They're relying on some rookie pitchers. River Ryan, who did get his first major league win against the Astros. But then you also had Warbleski, if I say that right. Robleski. There we go. And he was pitching really well. And they take him out 5 2/3 innings. It's like, why don't you let him get through the inning? Let him pitch to 6. If he's going to get to 6, let him get to 6. The same thing with River Ryan the next day, pitching really well. But I feel like they're relying on their bullpen, but their bullpen is broken right now. you can't count, like Blake Trinan gave up the walk-off home run by Alec Bregman. Daniel Hudson blew a save. That doesn't happen very often, but it just seems like, where is the pitching management? Why are we not allowing River Ryan? Why aren't we allowing, what's his first name? Robleski.
What is Robleski's first name?
Robleski. I got it, but
Robleski.
Yeah, all of a sudden I can't think of his first name. But why are we? I mean, you have nothing to lose, right? Because you lost that game anyway in walk-off style. Next night, obviously, next day was better. But do you think that, now, I am not comparing in any way River Ryan and Robleski to Paul Skenes. Justin, thank you. I'm not comparing them to Paul Skenes. But do you think that Paul Skenes would be the numbers that he has right now if the Pirates were like, yeah, you're doing well? I know there was some issues, like with the no-hitter, that kind of stuff. But would he have the numbers if every time he was limited on his pitch count and limited on innings? No.
No, he wouldn't. You're right.
And why? These guys are rookies. They have to be able to work themselves out of a jam, and they have to be able to figure it out. And Doc is not allowing that to happen. Whether it's Doc or if it's a front office, I don't know. But we're not giving these pitchers a chance to pitch.
I feel like that's a front office call,
Mm-hmm.
more so than a Doc call. I think with the young kids,
Yeah,
with the veterans, I think Doc is in full control of the pitching staff. Although he doesn't do a very good job with it.
Yeah, no.
I think that they're worried about those guys like River Ryan and those, even like Kershaw, like you said, he only went 4 innings. I think they stopped it there, just to protect that investment. Whereas the other guys, we can see he's in control because of some of the things that are done.
Yeah. And I mean, there are some there's good news coming out from Brewster Gratterall, who we have not seen all season, has looked good in Oklahoma City in rehab, on the rehab starts. You have Ryan Brazier, who is on a rehab start. I haven't seen if he has pitched yet. And then Michael Grove. Michael Grove most likely will be the first one to come back after his being on the IL. And he's going to take the place of being in innings, taking up a more, 2-3
innings eater, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. But there's just, there's something off. Evan Phillips is totally off, but there's no designated closer. And I think that means something. I think for pitchers, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like, oh, what do? I'm the closer.
Right.
It means something. It has some weight to it because you're the guy that everybody counts on to go out there and get those outs. Evan Phillips was kind of the pseudo closer because sometimes he'd come in the 7th and sometimes but for a while he was there in the 9th and he was pitching well. Now he, is there something going on with him? Mechanics wise, is there maybe something he's dealing with injury wise, but it's not enough to put on an IL stint? I don't know, but I feel like one of the things the Dodgers really needed they need, and even with the trades, was a closer.
That was definitely something that I saw as well. Or like you said, maybe just a better structure in the pen to define some roles. Maybe that'll help them. Who knows as far as that goes. I would think, though, if you're the closer, you know what's expected. Evan Phillips had been that guy. If you lose it, you've got to figure out how to get it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does something. It could do something to your psyche, right? I was the closer and now I'm not. Now I'm coming in the 6th or 7th inning. And I
Right.
know they're like, oh, well, whatever the team needs, but you were the closer. You were it, you're
Mhm.
you're the guy. So I think there does need to be defined roles in the bullpen. I've said this for a long time. I think too, just in general, we need to get back to pitching. We need to get back to where when we go to the ballpark or we watch a game, the first thing that we look at is not like what time it is, where it's going to be on, who's pitching. And you pick your games based on who's pitching because you want to see these guys. I feel like pitchers have been kind of put to the side a little bit because it's all about hitting. Obviously, everybody, you want to see Shohei. You want to see Aaron Judge. You want to see those type of players. But I feel like we really need to get back to the pitching of old, right? I guess.
Right.
I just a more emphasis where let guys be able make it a thing. Yes, having a complete game should not be and not like, oh, it's complete, once in, how many complete games have we had this season?
Right.
A handful, maybe.
Right. Not many.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
So
yep.
I just feel like there's just, we handle the pitchers with kid gloves and I get it, but why are we, I have an issue with the pitch, the pitch count, the innings, and I get they're rookies, but they could have totally gone 6 and let them figure it out because you got to figure it out.
Sure enough.
And I think that's the Dodgers have always had that issue. And the other issue they have, you have Dustin May, who had a second Tommy John surgery, was doing rehab, looked like he was doing better, like, oh yeah, he's throwing well. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, Dustin May's out for the season because he has, of all things, a torn esophagus, a ruptured, esophagus. Yeah. I mean, that's horrible, but he's out for the season. Obviously, his rehab starts at square one. Then you have Bobby Miller, who has imploded and is in Oklahoma City indefinitely till he can figure it out, and he has not figured it out. And you have Walker Buehler, who was on the IL, went to Florida to a, guy who runs a pitching performance, a business, and worked with him, got away from the game, but was working strictly on pitching. Was like, yeah, feeling better, gets back, is in Oklahoma City, and looks just as bad as he looked before he left.
Right.
And I feel like the Dodgers put all of their eggs in one, and it's like, oh, Kershaw's coming back. Okay, well, Kershaw, I love Clayton Kershaw, but this is his 17th year in the MLB. And then they say, oh, Bobby Miller, he's going to be the no, he's not. There's something wrong with Bobby Miller. Ooh, Walker Buehler's coming back. He's going to be great. No, he's not. And Yamamoto is going to be throwing his first bullpen tomorrow. That is really good news. But hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it's not something more, hopefully he is healed. But they always are like, oh, Shohei's doing his throwing program next year. Well, we're not talking about next year. We're talking about this year getting to the World Series. And right now, looking at the Dodgers, and we can look at the trades, I don't see them they're going to be in the playoffs, but I don't see them in the World Series.
No, I think they're out in the first round.
As it pains me to say that.
At this point, if they don't, and they can still turn stuff around, but at this point, I feel like they're going to slip to be the wild card or one of the wild cards, and I think they're out in the wild card round.
I would
because
hate
they don't hit, and that has nothing to do with the analytics and whether Andrew Friedman and his people are controlling things, whether Dave Roberts is making poor moves as the manager. It means that the players, for some reason, just stop.
Which makes no sense to me. I don't get it. And I don't know if that's the thing, but I personally, I don't want them, if they're, if they win the division, they have that bye. I think that maybe being in the wild card, that could maybe shake something up. And maybe they go a little bit deeper. I don't know. At this moment in time, as I said here, they're not going to go to the World Series. In fact, the other day I was thinking, who do I think is going to be in the World Series? And I'm like, Philadelphia and the Orioles.
Right. I would go there. I would go there too. I'm not even sure about Philadelphia, but the Orioles,
Yeah,
I
that just like popped up. But let's trade wise, Dodgers did get a right-handed pitcher in Jack Flaherty. I think that probably was the big pitcher. One. Yeah.
I think that was the biggest one of anybody.
Right. That's what I mean.
Because everybody was looking for a frontline starter. Nobody really got him. Honestly, after I read more about what Garrett Crochet from the White Sox wanted to be traded, if he was traded, he wanted an extension. And there was a lot of stuff that I kept reading from different sources that I'm like, I don't want any part of Crochet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did want Tarek Skubal. But instead we got Jack Flaherty. So, and they were similar numbers wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar numbers wise. So, I've been good with that. And then this one I shake my head at because they also got Tommy Edmond, who is shortstop utility guy from the Cardinals, and immediately put him on the 60-day IL along with all the other Dodgers because he has a right wrist sprain. He had surgery, I think,
he's
in
still
Oxy,
rehabbing.
and he's still rehabbing. Like, okay.
The hope is, because he's supposed to be close, and the hope is that because he can play center field as well, that he'll be an upgrade.
Yes.
And then they move Pages over to platoon with Jay
right
in right field.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. And it's like, all right, and then they also got a right-handed pitcher, Oliver Gonzalez. They did trade.
And don't forget that they got, with the Edmund thing, around the same time, they picked up, what's his name? Michael Kopech.
Right. I was just going to,
White Sox.
Yeah. Cause it was a three team trade with the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the Dodgers. And so from St. Louis, Edmund, and the right-handed pitcher Gonzalez, and then Michael Kopech from the White Sox, who is a bullpen piece. So we'll see. And then of course a lot of people were like, well, he's looked good in his last few starts. I think last 7 starts he's looked really good. But the Dodgers kind of are the pitching whisperers. They just need to work on whispering to the pitchers that they currently have on staff, in the bullpen especially.
Well, and Kopech is a guy but he's like a lot of relievers, especially Dodger relievers. When he's good, he's really good.
Yeah.
But when he's bad, you want to DFA him.
Yeah. It's like when mom would say to me, because of curly hair, and she would say, the little girl with the curl, when she was bad, when she was good, she was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was very, very bad. And that's how it is. Miguel Vargas was traded in this whole, and he was traded, unfortunately for him, to the White Sox.
Right, but more playing time.
But more playing time,
so that
for
can
him.
help him. And one move that we had been hollering for, but we knew it wasn't going to happen, even if this wasn't the case. But Gavin Lux, who was Player of the Week for the National League.
I know, it's crazy, but he has been hitting great, and defensively, whatever, mental block, whatever it was, it's broken, because he has made some really good, spectacular plays.
Yep.
So, and I don't know, maybe he was like, I better do something, because I could be gone.
He finally had that
epiphany.
awakening,
right?
Yes, the epiphany, and there it was. So, yeah, Dodgers and their trades, they really didn't move the needle until the very last moment.
Right. And that seems to be, that's kind of their deal. For the second year in a row, Ahmed Rosario is back with the Dodgers. Last year, they got him from Cleveland. This year, they got him from Tampa Bay. And he is good versus left-handed pitching. Hasn't played a lot, but, he has. But he's a utility guy. So 307 batting average, has 2 home runs. Has never, I don't think, ever been a big home run hitter. But, yeah, so he's back in Dodger blue. Oh, and we can't forget Kevin Kiermaier was also picked up, and that was, they had DFA'd Ryan Yarbrough to make room for Ahmed Rosario. He went to Toronto. Kevin Kiermaier came to the Dodgers. They also DFA'd Johan Ramirez, which we had been yelling for because Clayton Kershaw was coming back. He was picked up by Boston, and then Boston, he pitched 1 1/3 innings for Boston and was unceremoniously DFA'd. James Paxton also, this was DFA'd, and I still don't quite understand. I mean, I understand, but I really feel like I think he should have stayed, because he was a solid starter for the most part. Dodgers were 14-4, or actually 15-4 when he pitched. And his last game with them, he pitched really well, but they needed a pitcher like that could eat up those innings, so they didn't have to go into the bullpen and have bullpen games, and they got rid of him. And I don't think that was the best move. But he's in Boston, and pitched for Boston, didn't pitch that well. So, because he misses the Dodgers. I don't know.
That had to be the case.
That was it.
Anyway, so yeah, the Dodgers did come out of the break with a sweep of Boston, took 3 of 4 from San Francisco, had some problems with the Asterisks, and now they got to play the Padres for 2 this week, and then they'll only have 3 games left with them, and then they got Oakland. So maybe a little break. Maybe Oakland's actually been playing really good. We'll talk more about them, or briefly touch on them in the Angels when we talk more about the Angels in a second here. But then they've got to deal with the Pennsylvania teams, the teams from PA. They got the Phillies and the Pirates back to back, and it's a long stretch of teams that are all playing well, that could cause problems. Philly, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, St. Louis, all in a row. And then Seattle, who made a lot of moves at the trade deadline, comes in to play them before they get a little bit of a break potentially with Tampa Bay. So they've got to really be on top of things. because really, when you look at the rest of the season, especially the rest of August, beginning of September, they're playing a lot of teams who are fighting for spots: Arizona, Baltimore, Cleveland, Atlanta.
Well,
They'll
and
be going to Atlanta.
everybody plays the Dodgers, especially the Padres. They play them like they're playing, in their personal World Series, their personal playoff. It's in especially the Padres. So, and I think the Dodgers, I feel like sometimes they don't put as much stock into playing against the Padres, especially they're playing at home.
Right.
So, the Padres are playing at home. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. The Dodgers do need to, maybe be looking over their shoulder, because this Padres series, it's only 2 games, but it's a big deal, especially with the, games back and where they're at, because they could lose ground fast.
So the Angels spent they didn't take on the A's until the end of June. And now they're done with the A's for the season. They played all 13 games versus the A's between the end of June and in July. They had the A's and the Mariners going into the break. They had the A's coming out of the break with the Mariners again, and they pretty much own the Mariners in both those series. They swept them in both of the series, right before and right after. Oakland, they made their last trip into the Coliseum. They will never play there again, which was kind of bittersweet for Ron Washington, who was a coach there for a long time. They lost 2 of the 3 there, and Oakland beat them up at home quite a bit, but they were able to sweep Oakland at home. I'm sorry, they lost. They won 1 and lost 3. I'm sorry, Oakland controlled them. They were able to win the last one versus them, and then and now they've got Colorado coming in this week, and the Mets coming in for the weekend. Now, the Angels, everybody expected them to sell. And I think they put themselves in position to do that. But they ended up only really moving 2 pieces. And that was their 2 best relievers, Carlos Estevez, who went to Philadelphia, and Luis Garcia, who went to Boston. They got prospects back, but and they were happy, they said, with the prospects, but there was a lot of talk about Taylor Ward going, Luis Rengifo, Tyler Anderson, and a couple other guys that Kevin Pillar, that was one.
Yeah, I think
he was going to go.
The 3 you mentioned, those were the big 3. And I had even heard maybe Tyler Anderson comes back to the Dodgers. But we all know Artie never trades. He is not going to trade any player, even if he got all of the prospects. He wouldn't trade him back, trade it with the Dodgers, make a trade.
No, he could trade. He could have traded Taylor Ward and Hans Kraus out of the bullpen and got back Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, and Teoscar.
Right.
And he still wouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't do it. I won't do it. I
won't.
So Carlos Estevez and Luis Garcia, they both have expiring contracts. So was that, that could have been something like, yeah, we'll go ahead and trade them. We don't have to worry about their contracts. Like you said, they did get prospects from the Phillies. They got 2 pitching prospects. From the Red Sox, they got 4 prospects. Obviously Perry is going to say, we like what we got in return. It was good for us, but there's no meat to anything that happened in Anaheim.
Well, and here's where I sit with all of this. Number one, word is that there was stuff lined up for some of these other guys, and some of it got vetoed by Artie.
And he always is in the way. That's the problem.
But
pay the bills and don't say anything about baseball.
Here's what I'm thinking. As an Angels fan and somebody that has an issue with Perry Manassian, obviously I have a problem with Artie as well. But if you're doing a rebuild, even though they don't want to say they're doing a rebuild, Ron Washington is treating this as if it's a rebuild. There's only 2 guys that you need to get out of there. Because with the rebuild, the one thing you want to do is you got guys who are controllable. Taylor Ward isn't on an expiring contract. He's not an old veteran. I understand, like with Kevin Pillar, he's going to retire at the end of the season. You could have got something back for him if somebody wanted him. But I don't feel like that. 2 things. I can't say anything because I don't know what was being offered in return for any of these guys. So maybe the return wasn't that good. Number 2, I think that Perry's just been lucky that some of his draft picks have come through, and they've played well enough that they're all up. But why would we want to, trade Luis Rengifo when we still have him under control? And what would we have gotten in return that we're guaranteed is going to play like he plays? We've got, if you want to get rid of somebody, Brandon Drury, you could have, but he has really no trade value. Kevin Pillar, although I'm happy that he's sticking around. Joe Adell, who may be finally coming around, got the message. He and Lux both got the message at the same time. That maybe these guys are in a spot, but you've got a lot of time left with him. So isn't that what you want with a team? You want to get some pitching because your pitchers are all falling apart. Although Jose Quijada came back, and I went to the game on Sunday, and he pitched real well there. The Angels won that game versus Oakland to salvage the series, and they played well. Zach Neto seems to be having some issues throwing the ball to first. He's making some good plays, but then he's constantly pulling Sean Ewell off the bag. And then if you listen, Zetto, Sean Ewell, both these guys just a year or 2 out of college. They're already, fixtures there. A third baseman would have been good, but Rengifo's been playing there because Rendon is hurt again. Even though they say it's going to be a short time on there due to some back tightness, it's still an issue. They need to find a way to get Trout out of the way and get some good prospects for him. Not trying to trade off Taylor Ward to get prospects. You've got 2 decent catchers in Ohapi. So once again, another young guy. So you need some pitching, but this is how you build it. I'm not confident that even if they'd have made those moves, that the prospects we got back would have been the best prospects we could have gotten back for him. I feel like Manassian would have gotten fleeced. So maybe not making the moves is better. That's my feeling with that. That, Trout's probably gone for the rest of the season. We can talk more about that when we get to the Will of IL, but he is he's had a setback and they shut him down. So the Angels at this point are just playing to get better. They may be playing out the string because they're not going to make it to the playoffs, but as individuals and as young guys, they can learn how to play the game. They can learn how to win together. They can learn how to not lose, and not let things tumble over because one bad play. There is a chance. There are things, and that's what they need to do for the rest of the season. I didn't think they needed to make all the moves. Maybe get some pitching, which they did get a pitcher from the Giants that the Giants DFA'd, Mike Ballman. But really,
I think like you said, they're not saying rebuild. They're not saying, they won't say that word, but you mentioned Ron Washington was and is, I think, is treating and managing, these are young players. We got to mold them. I'm here to do that. And then when he was asked, how do you feel about next year? Can you compete? And he said, what is he going to say? Well, give it 2 more years. But he's like, yeah, definitely. And I think, maybe they can, but I do feel that Mike Trout he is stagnant in Anaheim and he needs to go somewhere else, not only for the Angels as a whole, but for himself. He cannot be happy with where he is physically. He has had injury. I think every year since, we have started, and even before, but especially since we have started this
the last
podcast,
4 years, he has
been out, right? So let's rethink this and see where you can go, Mike Trout, not just, but for yourself.
Well,
for you as a player.
If I was going to hold on to somebody, I would have fought to hold on. If I'm Artie, I fight to hold on to Shohei.
Right.
Because Shohei brings the club more money.
Yes.
With the advertising dollars.
Oh, yeah. Just
and all
in
of that than Mike Trout does.
Right.
And that alone, just from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that Trout is, he's an albatross around the neck of the Angels.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that until Shohei's pitching, if he ever drops off, even with the Dodgers, he takes away flexibility because he can only DH.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he can pitch, that's different. And the Angels were good to let him go so that they had open flexibility to do what they're doing now to get themselves in position to compete. They're going to compete at times during the season, surprisingly. And, they have a lot of teams that are going to be tough to beat as well. The Mets have been surging, the OMG Mets. And then they've got, and then not only do they have the Mets at home, then they go to the Bronx. They go to DC, which that could be a wash, from there. You
never know.
Don't know what's going to happen in when they have played Toronto at home and the Braves come to Anaheim as well. But then they got the Royals, the Tigers who are playing well, and of course Seattle on their way out there. There's just so many. For the most part, with the exception of Houston, most of their games for the rest of the way out are almost as meaningless as the rest of their season is from a standings and a playoff point. But what it can mean for them is, and what Wash has been trying to teach them is, you can work hard every day and still play hard and win. It's not mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the issues that they're having with some of the some of these guys, is that they're when they work hard, they feel like, oh, I got to save some for the game. Like, no, you don't. You need to work as hard as you possibly can to get as good as you can. So that way, when you play the game, it's not going to make you're going to be that much better. Time to hop in the bullpen cart and take a ride around baseball. Trade deadline edition. Next week we will get back to normal. We'll have the players of the week for the MLB style players of the week and other things this week. Though let's talk trade deadline to start with, and a couple of a few different trades happened. Nothing that really, shook the earth. The Padres made some moves, got a reliever. They got a couple other players. I think the team that really won the trade deadline, even though everybody says the biggest move was Jack Flaherty, Southern California boy, to the Dodgers. But I don't think that was the best. I don't think they won the trade deadline. Who do you think? Let's see if it matches up with who I believe it is.
I think the Yankees won the trade deadline with the acquisition of Jazz Chisholm Jr.
I agree. Jazz has hit 4 home runs more in his first 2 games. Dave Kingman hit 3 when he became a Yankee in his first 2 games. But Jazz Chisholm, and when you look at him, he's playing third base, a place that he didn't play in the majors. And he's now looks like he is the everyday third baseman for the Yankees. He looks like he belongs in a New York uniform. He looks happy, smiling all the time. Maybe it's like, better than he ever looked in a Marlins uniform.
Yeah.
And that's the road grays. He hasn't even shown up in pinstripes yet. And we'll get to see him as far as, seeing him locally. We'll see him when the Angels head to New York next week to take on the Yankees. So that I agreed. That was the one I was thinking of and what I was teasing. And they definitely won it just with him. He has been.
He's on fire. I mean, he's excited. You got to be excited. Like, the Yankees wanted me.
Right.
And it's
one of those home runs. He drove in Soto and Judge.
Yeah. It's crazy, but that's gotta mean something. But it did surprise me at first. I was like, really? Okay. But yeah, to see the way he's playing, he's playing great. I think Jazz really needs to thank Gleyber Torres, because they were like, well, we're gonna move you to third, and he was like, nope, I'm a second baseman. This is where I play. Now DJ LeMahieu is also, he's out there too, but yeah, they were going to move Torres over and he said no. And so they went and got Jazz, and he is jazzing it up in the Bronx.
I don't think DJ's really played second base in a while. He's been playing first base a lot because Rizzo's out.
Right.
He was playing third base.
Yeah, he's been a little bit everywhere. That's what his, I guess you'd say, natural position where he normally, what he came up as. But yeah. So yeah, he needs to.
So now, thing with the Yankees that they didn't get, they were in on Flaherty, but word is they pulled out after they saw his medicals.
Right, and they said it was because he had some back, like he had an injection or something in his back, and they said, well, we don't want him. But Brian Cashman has come out and said they would have traded for him anyway.
Well, they're having the one thing that's an issue for them, the Yankees right now, that I would have expected them to go hard after some other starters is pitching. Garrett Cole scratched from his last start.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys out there that I thought they would have got. When you look at their lineup, they've got some guys there. Giancarlo Stanton's back. You've of course got Soto and Judge. Now with the way Chisholm has been playing, and we'll see if he can do that. Gleyber Torres has been pretty consistent. So that side of the ball, they seem to be okay or have the potential. It's the pitching side, and every Yankees fan I know is like, they don't ever want to see the bullpen. The bullpen's been carrying everything for so long that they know the bullpen's on the edge of collapse. I saw that, I don't know if you noticed, but our buddy Andrew Chafin, who was with Detroit, is now a Tiger. He was a Tiger. Now he's a Ranger. I got my T's all squared away. Screwed up there. I felt like some of the bigger moves by teams were like the Mariners. They had the first big move, and they went out and got Randy Arozarena.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. He had been. I think we all knew he was going to be somewhere, and of course, yes, he was mentioned with the Dodgers and had been mentioned even before, like months before the trade deadline, where with the Dodgers. But yeah, he ended up with the Mariners, one of our favorite redheads, Justin Turner, also now a Mariner.
Another former Dodger ends up in Mariner Town in Seattle, Yimi Garcia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, coming over from the Blue Jays. I think another big one was the Astros, who got Yusei Kikuchi, and what they gave up to get him. They gave up like 4 of their top prospects. So, they have a Toronto. Actually, it's 3 of their top prospects. So they gave up more for Kikuchi than the Dodgers did for Flaherty, and Flaherty is right now is better ERA wise and things like that than Kikuchi.
Yeah, you got to wonder about those sometimes. What is it about him? I've never really heard. Kikuchi is an average starter, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe they just figured. And this is something that I saw. We didn't bring it up too much with the Dodgers, but I noticed in Houston I saw it, and in other places I've seen this with the Dodgers, but I've seen it with a lot of teams. If you can get to the playoffs and you've got decent pitchers, you're probably going to win or go far, because the batters are having a hard time. The Dodgers had a hard time with Framber Valdez. Framber's a good pitcher, but he's not unhittable. But yet they had an issue with him. And I've seen that not only with them, but other teams, where the better the pitcher, the worse the offense. Until when the Pirates played the Asterix, Paul Scanes was pitching. At the beginning of the game, he was controlling them. And then they kind of got a clue and they started hitting. So they made the adjustments. I'm not seeing a lot of teams. I'm not seeing Shohei adjusting as much.
No.
He's still hitting well, but I don't see him making adjustments like you would want him to do, being as good a hitter as he is. We didn't bring up about Freddie when we were talking about the Dodgers. So let's go to that for just a second, and we can go back and look at the trades. But Freddie Freeman, like we talked about, kids being sick while they were in Texas, he left the home run derby early for that. One of his kids, Max, has got some sort of a thing going on that he's now with. He's left the team. You know, while they're going through that, so he can be at home with his son. He's like 3, right?
Yeah, it's one of their twins, the youngest, and it's something like where if usually if Vex boys, in his age range, and it's almost like you have a virus, and then it settles or something happened. It's in the hip. So you can't, if you have it, you can't walk. You can't put weight on your legs. You can't walk. You can't do, pretty much do anything. So for a little kid to have it, that's tough. And they did, they had to take an emergency room. And it's pretty much from everything I've read, and hopefully that's all it is. So, it's something that he can recover from, but it's just rest, Tylenol, ibuprofen as needed kind of thing. And then he gets better. And that's what we all, hope for the Freeman family, that he gets better, but you don't know, how long that timeline is. So right now, Freddie Freeman is on family leave. He was not with the team in Houston. In fact, went to Houston, flew back almost immediately, and was not expected to be with the team in San Diego. And Dave Roberts said he has not even broached the subject with him to see, what's going on. And I'm sure that Freddie would let them know, like, hey, I can come back now, or, whatever. So,
right.
Yeah.
Now, this is a time when you wish Max Muncy was healthy because he could play first base instead of Kevin Biggio.
Right. And, that's the other, I'm glad you brought him up. I was watching, I think it was, I don't remember if it was a Saturday game. And his dad, Craig Biggio, who was an Astro,
Hall of
I think
Famer.
Hall of Famer, name, his number is retired in the with the Astros, and he's standing there, he's watching him, and I'm like, and he hit a home run, and his dad did finally crack a smile, but I was like, man, how hard is he on him? He's
Right.
like, he just looked like he's a tyrant of a dad. And I'm like, be happy for your kid, that he made it. That doesn't happen very often,
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I noticed that about him. I was like, I'm not a big Craig Biggio fan anyway, but not in the dad department. Maybe he's a great dad. I don't know, but
It just seemed like
he was like, oh, so you think you can hit a home run? Yeah, all right, whatever. But he did smile. Somebody patted him on the shoulder, and he, smiled. But it was like, give your kid some praise.
right.
Not all the time. You don't have to do it all the time, if he does. But, come on. When he does something good, let him know. Anyway, but he's another one. I thought maybe when the Dodgers got him that maybe he could have been part of a trade deal, but I don't know. We just don't know all of that.
Right.
And maybe nobody's like,
yeah,
that's
nobody.
okay.
Well,
and
they could have added him in maybe with something else, but
well, and another one that I think is interesting that we did not see is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays had an opportunity, I think, to really get some good prospects if they had traded Bo Bichette, Vladdy Jr.
Well, Vladdy Jr. would have been available. Bo Bichette's on the IL.
Right. I know that, but
right.
Yeah.
No, I think that the other guy that moved that I was I would have liked to have seen gone maybe somewhere else, and maybe even the Dodgers, was Isaac Paredes
Yes.
of the Rays. You
Mhm.
knew the Rays were going to move more people. They end up sending him to Chicago, but he would have been great to come in and play. He's an all-star third baseman. We saw him at the all-star game.
Yes.
It would have been nice to see something like that, but what are you going to do? And I think that too, that I don't think I'd want to be in Brandon Gomes and Andrew Friedman's shoes from the
Mm-mm.
standpoint of I have so much influx. I've got all these guys on the IL.
Yes.
Mookie is starting to take batting practice, so he's on his way back in. At that point, we didn't really know what was going on with Max. Will
Mhm.
he be back?
Right.
Do how much do we do? But I think he would have been a good guy to pick up, especially heading into this stretch. That if Max does come back, then you can figure that out.
Mhm.
Who knows? The problem now is with Gavin Lux actually starting to play well. Now you're like, well, okay, now what do we do?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you kind of had some issues so a lot of the guys that were out there, and there were guys, there was a lot of trades that didn't get made. We know that neither Crochet or Scooble went anywhere. There was a lot of talk about the Giants trying to get rid of people, but so that they could get down under the luxury tax threshold on the CBT thresholds, but it wasn't going to work for them to get rid of some of the folks that were thought to get rid of, because like Blake Snell, part of his contract for this year was a $17 million signing bonus,
Mhm.
which doesn't come off your books.
Right.
You still got to pay that. Although there was talk that he might get traded. Of course, he didn't.
Mhm.
So there was probably the deals that we thought could happen. The speculation is a lot of that didn't happen.
I think the
Jack,
speculation was way better than, and
uh,
probably always is, but it's
it,
always way better than the trades, especially this year. It was really flat. We did hear kind of later Blake Snell could possibly, and he, of course, was linked to the Dodgers, but I never see him ever pitching with the Dodgers. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. Max Scherzer, Nathan Eovaldi were names batted around from the Rangers. They stayed. You mentioned, Scoble and Crochet. The Marlins kept Jesus Luzardo, who, that he was another one. So really, when you look at it, Flaherty, that's the big one. And you're
yeah,
like,
really.
oh, okay. Yeah, and Tampa Bay was, you got to think that the guy or the person who does the social media, they were just, tired of, thank you for all your thanks, we're going to miss you in Tampa Bay. And how many of those did the person have to
Yeah,
do?
quite a few. I was just looking through the list of people, and it's just like because Zach Eflin went up to
Right.
the Orioles, and he was a Ray, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's there weren't as many. There was a lot of trades, but there weren't too many needle moving trades.
Yeah. They're not those big names, I guess, that everybody
It's not like when the Dodgers picked
wants.
up Max Scherzer and Trey Turner that one year from the Nationals. They've had a couple of big moves where like that, and you expected maybe uh, the Yankees to make a bigger move.
Well, I think another guy that his name was thrown around too was Brent Rooker of the
Oh, right.
A's.
Yep.
And, they kept him. Um, the Rockies, I think they traded a couple of relievers, but what could they have gotten for Ryan McMahon? What could, because he was an all-star, first-time all-star, and has played well, not just this year, but, past seasons. What would have, did people approach? That's what I'd like to see is like, now that it's all over, open the vault and tell us what was did somebody approach the Rockies? And because he would have been great third baseman for the Dodgers. But, just throwing that out there. But they kept him, and what's the end goal in that? What are they do? Because they're not doing anything. And of course, we talked about the Angels. It was just flat. So we'll see. It used to be where, I remember, what was it like when Darvish was traded, to the Dodgers from the Rangers, and it was like 5 minutes before the deadline, right, or crazy. And you live for that. And this year it was like, right.
It was exciting because I was listening to the radio when the deadline was coming up, and one of the guys on the program I was listening to is going, Dodgers aren't going to do anything. You guys have been, two other people on that were on the show there were going, Dodgers are going to do something. I know it'll be last minute. And sure enough, 10 minutes before or 5 minutes before, they announced that Jack Flaherty was coming over. Once again, I'm not surprised that the other guys didn't move like Crochet and Flaherty, simply because these are pieces that have a lot of time left. They're under club control. And if you still want to try to win or build something, these are guys to build with. Just like the Angels. The Angels need to do two things. They need to, I believe that Perry Manassian is going to be fired at the end of the season. He's at the end of his contract. I think they're just not going to renew him.
Yeah.
The bigger thing that needs to happen is Artie needs to sell the team.
Yes.
Now the other thing that happens, we mentioned that Bo Bichette is on the IL. That makes me wonder, how many guys. I mean, Tommy Edman is in his rehab stage, so even though he's on the IL, he's still working towards coming back. Right. But how many guys didn't get traded because they were on the wheel? Oh, I
All right.
We were on the IL for a couple of days in Texas.
I especially on that Monday, man.
That Monday, you were completely on the IL. You were you were on the 60 day at that point.
I was 60 day.
You were a tomato.
My face was so red, and my heart rate was crazy high. I was like, I just got to sit here, get it down, doing some deep breathing. Yeah, I was on the IL. I'm off.
And if
now.
you're not sure about that, if that ever happens to you, you're with Jana and she's in there. She has no sense of humor at that point. That part of her body shuts down.
It does. Oh, it does. Okay.
And I learned that the hard way. Because I don't take anything seriously.
Never.
And I'm laughing and joking about stuff, and she's just glaring at me. I'm like, well, I'm glad I don't live at your house. I think the
word annoying might.
Yes. Yes.
Well, okay. Before we get to the main IL with our players, it was so hot, and it just, I have never it was miserable. And I had a lady, one of the workers is like, oh my goodness, are you okay? It's like they were going to take me to the medical office or, whatever. But I made it through.
They were going to do like they do in the NFL on the sidelines. They were ready to pop up a tent.
Yes.
Around you, the medical tent around you.
put me in it. But I have to say, after I left on Wednesday. I flew up to Durango, Colorado, and it was 86 degrees. But man, 86 degrees and very low humidity has never felt better. It was so awesome.
No doubt.
Oh, so awesome. Anyway, all right. Diamondbacks. Christian Walker is on the IL with an oblique
Oh my
injury.
goodness. We haven't really had one of those since Max that I can remember.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oblique, oh my side. Oh, my side. Well, with the classic.
Yeah, we haven't heard that.
The original.
Yeah, the original. I haven't heard that. Ozzy Albies on the IL. Poor guy fractured his toe. Now he fractured his left wrist.
Oh, wow.
So he's on and this is what's funny to me. He's fractured his wrist and he's on the 10-day IL. Like, yeah, okay. Probably going to be a little bit longer, but he is out. And Jordan Westberg of the Orioles, he is. This is what's funny. So sometimes they'll say you're on the IL, 10-day, whatever, and sometimes it just says you're out. He was hit by a pitch. That's probably a day-to-day thing, but I think he's on the IL now. But anyway, he was hit by a pitch on the wrist, and they were getting more. Figuring out what was really going on, was it broken, that kind of thing. Kenley Jansen is also listed as day-to-day with lower back pain. Chris Martin is been on the IL, still on the IL, but it looks like he's going to be coming back because he had the issue where he was feeling anxious being on the mound, and then he hurt himself. So that's no good. Mike Clevenger is undergoing. I know. He plays for the White Sox, and that's probably why. Tomorrow, or actually not tomorrow, today, he is going to have a disc replacement surgery on his neck, and will miss the rest of the 2024 season, which I don't know that he's too broken up about. But maybe, the surgery on the neck doesn't sound good.
No.
Mike Trout is still on the IL. He had gone to Salt Lake City to make rehab start with the Bees, and he had a setback. Not quite sure if it's, he had knee surgery. Well, I didn't say knee surgery. It wasn't, like full on, like an ACL or that kind of thing. But whatever the setback is, they haven't said. Have you heard exactly what happened with Mike Trout? Like his knee? Have they? I haven't
not
heard.
Sure. The MRI, he came back. So the deal was he was going to play 5 innings, and then the next day he would play some more. When he came out after 2 innings with the sore knee, they were like, okay, we're not sure what's going to happen. Everybody was wondering. Mm-hmm. Then it was like, well, it's probably okay. He's just going to DH. And then they pulled him back to come back home, got an MRI. The MRI was good news. It was just some scar tissue, a little inflammation, nothing too bad.
Yeah.
So he's going to start back to his stuff. He probably is not going back. Although Mike will go and do a rehab. Start. He doesn't care. He's not like Rendon, who doesn't want to go do that. Mm-hmm. Mike will do it.
Yeah.
But he, and then next thing we know, there's still some issues, and they shut him down. His reboot on his rehab is shut down.
Yeah, and they ask if he's going to return this season, and Washington said we'll see. So
Perry said that.
Oh, sorry. Perry said that. We'll
Yep.
see. And I think he's not coming back this season.
I don't think so either. That sounds like, I mean, I know he probably would like to come back this season
Yeah, of course.
because eventually they're going to call up Johnny Cueto. And why wouldn't you want to be there to play with Johnny Cueto?
I know. Love Johnny Cueto. Anthony Rendon is on the IL with lower back inflammation. He's on the 10-day IL. We'll see how long that lasts.
Word is that it's supposed to be just a 10-day stint. That's what they're saying so far. But we know so far he's not been the Rendon of old when he's injured. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to get back there. And we still don't know if that's really what the issue is, or, if he's got an ear infection.
True. Andrew wants a pitcher is out. He underwent season-ending surgery on his right elbow, so he is out for the rest of the season. Probably not a big deal there.
No.
I
always forget until I see him pitch. It's like the Canadian band Our Lady Peace. I love them. But if I don't remember, then I forget about them. I listen to them a lot. Then I forget about them. And then all of a sudden I'll hear something or I'll see something that makes me think of them, and I'll have to listen to them again. But in between, I forget that they're even a band.
Right.
And Andrew Wantz is the same. I forget about him completely.
Yeah. For the Dodgers, we talked about Max Muncy crossed a hurdle, according to Doc Roberts, that after visiting a chiropractor. So he is scheduled to start taking swings again, and that should have been today. And then Mookie Betts, it looks like maybe a couple of weeks away, because he is also starting to participate in batting practice. So that's good. I mentioned Novo Yamamoto, who is going to be throwing a bullpen session tomorrow. Brewster Gratterall looks like he could be back here in actually maybe next week. So, that's good to hear. Chris Taylor is on the IL with a groin injury, and not sure how long that will be. Chris Taylor said that he's never really had that type of injury, or he said it felt different. But that's where he's at. And then Miguel Rojas is also on the 10-day IL with forearm soreness. So, yeah,
they're babying him because they know they need him for the long run.
Exactly.
And really, when you look at it, a lot of these guys that are out, like Chris Taylor, and that the guys that they picked up are all utility guys.
You're right. Exactly.
Tommy Edman, Kevin Kiermaier, they can play anywhere.
Yeah, Rosario. Mm-hmm.
Rosario, another one. And so you're going to see Rosario probably at shortstop a lot. But Tommy Edman is slated to be the center fielder once he's back. Who knows what they'll do with Kiermaier. Kopech coming out of the bullpen. So, I mean, they made a lot of moves.
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing that moves the needle as far as the excitement level. But that doesn't mean that they weren't good moves.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, you never know. The guy, when you're playing for a team that's not involved in anything, it's easy to get lazy and complacent.
Oh, yeah.
They might pick it up and play a little better because they want, especially guys like Kiermaier who have already announced they're going to retire.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Christian Yelich, I think this is a big one. He is on the 10-day IL. He said that it is not 100% decided if he will undergo off-season back surgery. If he does, he's probably, he's done for the season, obviously, and even could put jeopardy, the start of next season, the 2025 season. So for right now, It's rest and some injections. But if that doesn't work, then it's possible Christian Yelich could be out for the rest of the season. Trevor McGill is on the 15-day IL with lower back injury. We're seeing a lot of lower back injuries with the pitchers right now. But just
that's odd. I mean, it's better than elbow injuries, but what's going on that's causing these lower back injuries?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. What's going on? Who's doing what? You mentioned Garrett Cole earlier. He is listed as day-to-day. He has overall body fatigue. And a lot of times you'll be like, oh no, what is that? Like, what does it lead to? Apparently he had a stomach virus. And so it could just be, he's getting over the stomach virus and he's still achy, and that's,
right.
Cause I know last week I had, fatigue, overall body soreness. I mean, I could be back. I got off the IL today.
Reinstated.
I was reinstated today. It was rough from the heat to overall body fatigue. I had it all. Mason Miller, you mentioned Mason, and he fractured his pinky finger. And at first they weren't really forthcoming, and then it came out that he hit it on a trainer's table, or
it's at a padded trainer's table, and I get it, but I've hit my fist down on my desk.
Yeah.
And if you hit it hard enough, my pinky will be sore and hard, and it's not broken that I'm aware of. But
maybe it is. You're walking around that way.
Right. And, but I'm tougher than they are because I'm not on the IL.
I'm not
day to day.
Now, this one is a big one. I think for Phillies fans, Ranger Suarez is on the 15-day IL with lower back soreness.
What in the world is going on there? We're going to have to look into that.
We're going to have to
What's going on with all this
report.
lower back soreness that these pitchers are having?
It's crazy. I don't know. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been on the IL. Was an all-star but could not play. But there is not a clear timeline on when he is going to return. They think the Padres said, looks like, he will play again this season, but we'll have to keep an eye out on him too, because we just don't know. Yu Darvish, again, he has been out. He's had the elbow issue, but he also has some personal things going on. So he will be back at some point, but they're hoping this season, but they don't know. They have no idea. And that's kind of like what's going on, but it's there. We don't need to know everything.
Right.
I mean, we want to know everything, but
sure, because we're inquiry kind of minds.
That's right. Jorge Polanco of the Mariners is listed as day-to-day with knee issues. So probably some knee soreness, having some issues there. This one is interesting. So Ryan Pepio, former Dodger, was traded to Tampa Bay for Tyler Glasnow. And this is really scary. He was on the 15-day IL with a knee, because of his knee. He thought he had a spider bite, but then it turned into he had to go and, it got inflamed and he had to, trip to the hospital.
Wow.
So he is working his way back. He is throwing, but, had a, scare there. Because if you don't get that kind of stuff taken care of. John Gray, a 15-day IL with a groin injury. So he could miss probably about a month is what they're estimating. Dalton Varsho of the Toronto Blue Jays is listed as day-to-day. Alejandro Kirk is also listed as day-to-day. Alejandro is dealing with an elbow issue. And he's been on there for a long time. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, so yeah, we need to look into, that's the will of IL, but I am very interested in what is going on with pitchers and lower back soreness. Is it the pitching clock? No.
Is it the pitch clock? That's, yeah, it could be. You may be onto something.
Or is it they only get 2 throws, 2 disengagements, and then, they have to do it, something in the movement is, I don't know.
Who knows but that is interesting that's becoming kind of a thing now.
Right, I mean,
that it's not just one elbow guy or, had the elbows, maybe there's been some more shoulders recently and then lower back. So, I wonder what kind of pitches they're throwing.
Maybe you should look. I'll have to look into that. What's the common thread with these particular pitchers? They all throw the sweeper. No.
And that'll do it. We're going to put the tarp on the field, put the bullpen cart into the bullpen cart garage, the bullpen cart palace.
Yes.
Because it's too good to just have a standard old garage.
Yes. It has columns, everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We're going to have to do like Olympic style opening ceremonies to bring the cart out from now on.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be great.
So anyway, that will wrap up this week's edition. Next week, we'll be back on our standard show schedule. We'll talk more about what happened during the week, players of the week, both our picks and the MLB style, more Wheel of the IL, and we'll see how some of these trades are actually working out. We'll have to look at those.
Yeah, look at those stats. And it's not next week, but we should tease it now because it's always an exciting part of baseball season, and that is the Little League World Series is going to be ramping up here in a couple of weeks in Williamsport. So let's get ready for that.
Right, one of our favorite times. Another one of our favorite times with the World Series of the College World Series, the Little League World Series. Always a good time, especially good to see these kids. And will any of them go forward someday and play in the pros? Some have. All right. Find us on our Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Grab yourself some gear when you visit our website and click on the Fanatics link. You got all of that. And then I saw that there's a cool thing that Fanatics is going to have with Topps. That's like this museum box or something like that. And it's got all these cards. Some have autographs on them. It's like about $400 box of baseball cards.
That's cool.
It looked pretty cool from what I saw, but $400. Yeah. For $400, that's a Dodger game these days.
Exactly.
So we'll see you next week. By all means, like I said, check us out on our social media. You got any ideas you want to share with us? Any comments about the stuff that we've talked about, or even if we didn't talk about it, just hit us up on the social media that we just gave you. And no matter what you do, see some live baseball on any level, and don't forget to swing away.